All right, guys, I'm doing a video here to show you how to do the problems involved with law of sines. So I'm going to do the first three problems from your book on page 524. So the first problem says, in triangle ABC, line AB is 7, BC is 10, and the measure of angle A is 80. To the nearest tenth, what is the measure of angle C? What you need to do, just draw any arbitrary triangle. It doesn't matter what it looks like, and label it ABC, okay? They don't give you a picture, so it's probably easiest if you draw one. They tell me that segment AB is 7, so I'm going to put a 7 there. Segment BC is 10, and they say the measure of angle A is 80 degrees. So inside of here, we have 80 degrees. They want us to find this angle, which is great. Remember, the law of sines, if you looked at the notes that I put up there and read the section, it says there is a direct relationship between the angle and the sides opposite those angles, okay? And the law of sines says you can solve for either the segments, or the sides, or the angles by using the sine of whatever they give you, in this case 80 degrees, over the opposite side, which is 10, is equal to the sine of x, we don't know what it is, and the side opposite the x is 7. All right, now we got a proportion. I'm going to cross multiply. So the sine of 80 times 7 gives me 7 sine of 80 degrees. This is equal to 10 times the sine of x. Well, I need to isolate this. So I divide by 10 on both sides. This cancels. So now I have the sine of x is equal to 7 sine of 80 all over 10. Now, remember, your calculators have to be in degree mode. All right, so make sure you check the mode. I'm going to push the mode button. Yep, I'm in degree, so I'm good to go. So I get out of that, and I'm just going to type it in as I see it. 7, all right, sine of 80, close that parenthesis, divided by 10. So I get 0.6893 and dot, 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 is equal to the sine of x. Now remember from our trig, if you don't know the angle, which I don't know the angle, on your calculator, you have to use inverse trig. So I push second, then sine, and I take that whole decimal. And with these calculators, you can do this and see how it says ANS, all right? Push enter. So I just solved x is equal to 43.6 degrees. So that was problem number 1. So now for problems 2 and 3, we're using the same model. And they give us this triangle. It looks something like this. All right. And this is G, K, H. They tell me that this is 62 degrees. All right. They tell me that this is 30 degrees. And this is Y. And this over here is X. Well, we can solve for that other angle, right? Oh, and they tell me this is 16. We can solve for this other angle. I'm just going to take 180 minus 62 minus 30. I get 88. So I know that this angle is 88. So problem number 2 says, what is x? So we're solving for x. So now we're solving for a side length, where up here we were solving for an angle measure. So here we're solving for x. Well, because we're solving for x, the angle that's opposite x is 88. So I know that we have to use sine of 88 over x. is equal to, well, I need to choose 62 and 16, because if I try to use 30, I don't know what y is either, and that's a problem. So I'm going to choose 62 and 16. So the sine of 62 all over 16. Once again, we cross multiply. 16 times the sine of 88 is equal to x times the sine of 62. And to isolate that x, I'm going to divide by the sine of 62 on both sides. There we go. So this cancels. So now we have x is equal to 16 sine of 88 divided by the sine of 62. And because we have all of the angles, all right, we don't use inverse. So I'm just going to type it in as I see it. 16 sine of 88, close that parenthesis, divided by the sine of 62, close that parenthesis. I got 18.1. So x is equal to 18.1. Okay? Which is great. Now, they're asking us for number 3. Number 3, solve for y. Well, if I solve for y, then I need to use 30. So the sine of 30 degrees all over y is equal to, I'm going to use the 62 and the 16 again. The sine of 62 all over 16. I cross multiply. 16 sine of 30 is equal to y sine of 62. And I divide by the sine of 62 on both sides. This cancels. And I'm going to type this into my calculator because that will equal y. All right? So y is equal to 16 sine of 30. Close that parenthesis. Divided by the sine of 62 degrees, and I got 9.1. So that's how you solve these problems. So just base your homework. Make sure you do that homework because you will have a quiz on this the next day. All right? And just base your homework off of these 3 problems that I just did. Okay?